You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. All right, so we are back here on The Mountain Gardener. I've got a special friend, guest, a guy who helps us with our trees. So he's with the best tree growing company, I think, in the country, if not the planet. He's with J. Frank Schmitt. They have been around for as long as we've been around. So 63 years this spring. You guys have been around even longer,
79 years.
79 years, J. Frank Schmitt. So you obviously have not been with them for 79 years, but the company has. Is still family owned.
Yeah.
After just shy of 100 years old. So impressive. So how long have you been? Tell us about tree growing, J. Frank Schmitt. What's it like to just kind of let the listeners know, maybe not just so much about your trees, but how did you get into this? Like how long have you been doing this?
So I started working at a Kmart Garden Center.
Oh, you're kidding. You're dating yourself right there.
In 1979. So I've been in the business for a long time. So, but that Kmart Garden Center put me through college.
Really?
Oh. So it was a fantastic start and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was year round. So.
I worked for my second job out of high school was for Kmart.
Yeah.
And they had me working. I wish I'd worked in the garden center. They had me working the blue light specials. Hey, come on down over the lipstick section. We're also selling hot dogs. You want to come on out for the next 5 minutes? You know, that whole thing. They'd have a blue light special kind of basically.
Oh yeah. Did it all for 6 years.
They knew I liked a microphone, especially a whole store microphone. So anyway, yeah. Fun times.
It was a fun time. So I started way back when, and I've been in the horticulture business ever since.
Really? Was your degree in horticulture or what?
No, my degree was in geography.
Really?
I was going to be a map maker.
Oh,
so that kind of got derailed.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't want to live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Is that where all the map makers are?
That's where the U.S. Map Agency was at the time.
Really?
And that was really the only opportunity for me. So I decided against that, and I stayed in retail.
Gotcha.
So.
And retail. And then so when did you switch from retail and jump over to the grower side?
So I was always in charge of the garden shop.
Okay.
My last job was at a company called Gemco, which is now part of Target.
Yeah.
And so I oversaw the garden shop. So I knew the sales rep for a gentleman who worked for Color Spot Nursery.
Really?
So he got promoted, and then I ended up backfilling.
Took his spot.
And it took his spot. And that was in 1989. And so I became, went to the grower side of the business then.
And that was out of what part of the country? Is that Oregon or is
Northern California?
Northern California. So a lot of growers in Northern California, a lot of growing because the moisture, humidity, climate's perfect. They don't just grow big redwood trees. They grow big shade trees or big fruit trees or big, more consistent.
Everything you can think of, from annual bedding plants up to shade trees and fruit trees. Yeah. So, and then I went through management with a couple different companies. And then since then I've been with J. Frank Schmitt for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So now why J. Frank Schmitt as opposed to maybe some of your competitors? What makes you all special? And if you can't say that, I'll tell them, but I'd rather have it come from you. You've got incredible trees.
Well, they are the premier tree grower in the world, really.
Yeah.
And when you've been in business 79 years and you're still family owned, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing. They know how to grow trees. They know how to develop new trees and new products. And they're just the best, best of what they do.
What I like about J. Frank Schmitt trees. So we fly up to your farm and we handpick every year the trees. So we get the best of the best, or we just go, oh, I like the way that looks. Oh my God. And then you can tell us the new genetics and new varieties, what's looking good in Albuquerque or Park Lake or Denver, because they're going to be the same climate. So I know they're going to do well here. Just, we get the insider tips on that. What I like is you take your time. You'll grow that tree out an extra 2 or 3 years. So that's perfect. You'll take the extra scaffolding or the structure of that tree and make sure it is perfectly balanced. Whereas a lot of growers take shortcuts. They just have this whip, very, very few branches on it, and it's got a dog leg to it. It just looks terrible. I'm embarrassed for them. None of your trees, each one is perfect. This is what, when people come here to Waters Garden Center, they want the perfect tree. And so we go up and we know your trees are going to be glorious. So anyway,
they are. And they are. We spend a lot of time and money pruning and grooming our trees more than any other company there is. And when you drive down the roads where our container trees are held and grown, the only tree you're going to see when you look down a row is the tree right on the edge of that row, because they're all exactly the same behind it.
Absolutely. So now, insider tips. How, if it's for those tuned in, we're just talking about you and your farm or whatever. That's great. They can find them here. That's fine. But what are some insider tips maybe we can give folks on how to grow a better tree, a faster tree? How do we get more balance? How often should they prune? What's something we can share with them that maybe they could use after the show is over and go, wow, that was good. I'm going to go try that.
I think one of the most important things about when you plant a new tree is how much water you give it.
Okay.
A lot of people think that if you plant a tree in your grass in the backyard or front yard, that the sprinkler system is going to take care of that tree. And that's not true.
That's true. Yeah.
These trees have to be deep watered for the first year, even in the winter time. Even after, unless you get a lot of snowpack, you still need to water your trees, and you need to deep water them. You need to put that hose on them and let that hose trickle on a tree for 15 to 20 minutes at least. And that in the summertime, it's twice a week.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, and then the fertilizer, if you really want that tree to grow, you need to fertilize it once a month with some type of all-purpose or tree fertilizer.
Yeah, for that first year.
So
especially if you're going to get it. So you got to get the roots from that. It's a 15-gallon size tree. That's the average. We sell some bigger, some smaller, but 15 seems to be the norm. So that's a close to a 2-foot deep root, and maybe it's 18 inches round. And so you put that in the ground, and you need to have water push through that root zone all 2 feet, and then a little bit more. So you're encouraging the roots to chase after that water a deeper rooted tree. Whereas a lawn or something a more frequent but lighter watering, the water doesn't go all through the entire root zone. So you start to lose the bottom parts of the root. You only have real shallow root structure. When a windstorm or a drought or something happens, all of a sudden that tree suffers or dies or it looks awful because it was never encouraged to root as deep as it should have been.
Yeah. And then actually sometimes I've seen it where the roots actually grow up to the level of the soil and start going out, which is really detrimental to the tree.
So the roots are growing above ground, you're saying, or running across just underneath the surface of the grass or the mulch or the running over to the flower bed. They're trying to find water.
Correct. Because
they were never encouraged to go real deep. They're running over across the yard trying to find the food and the water.
So then the tree spends more time searching for water than it does growing.
Yeah.
So
Oh, interesting. So it's going to be focus that growth on the root structure because it's starving. It wants to find, it's going to try to live. So it will sacrifice growth up top in order to get more roots down to go to find that flower bed over there or the shrub row over here. It's focused on roots. Right. I get that right?
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think for my experience here in the mountains of Arizona, digging the right size hole. Sometimes we've got rocks and caliche layers, just nasty stuff. Putting the energy into that hole as you're planting it, and then amending that so the roots want to grow. It loosens up the soil, keeps it lighter so the roots can get through easier. And then the deep rooting, and then there's no food in our soil. Mm-mm. You've got to supplement some nutrients in there to make that plant really flush out fast. This is especially important if you've got privacy screens or windbreaks. You don't want to see that neighbor like tomorrow. Like I need them gone. Encourage that thing to grow fast. And regular feeding is and I think organic foods are a better source. So
if you're going to buy a tree and spend the time, and spend your hard-earned money on a tree, then make sure that you're going to
It's
get
gonna
the
grow.
amendment
Yeah.
and the fertilizer and take care of it.
That's a good tip. So Mike Neenan with J. Frank Schmitt, the premier, I would say the Cadillac, no, the Mercedes, the Lexus of tree growers. And you're our main tree guy here at Waters Garden Center. Thank you, Mike, for being here. Waters Garden companion plants in May are Indian hawthorn, purple robe locust, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and vining akebia.
Akebia is a super vigorous vine with dangling fragrant flowers.
She proliferates up arbors, pergolas, fences, and stunning as a ground cover to retain hills.
One of the fastest growing evergreen vines you can plant in the gardens.
You'll only find the hardiest vines at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. For a more fruitful garden, increased success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit watersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Waters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.